Today's client story is a young business owner who we've helped with business cash flow, ensuring that the cash flow within his business is set up properly, and also ensuring he has protection in place just to ensure if anything unfortunate was to happen, he has his risk management and something to fall back on. I'm Victor Doko, financial planner at CFE Services, and I will just dive deeper into this case. So, client is fairly young, early 30s, successful business owner. His business is turning over just over 1 million, and he's in a good profit margin position as well. So, what he takes from the business is about $70,000 per annum, and then he pays himself about $50,000 in dividends per annum as well. He has a small mortgage, living expenses on the low side as well. And he just has a primary residence, a little bit of cash, and a little bit of personal assets. And his super is on the small side, but growing. So when the client came in, he really wanted to ensure his income could still continue if he's unable to work. With small business owners, what you would find is if you're not in the business and not able to actually work in the business, your income will stop, because yes, you might not be doing much, but just your presence and your ability to organize things actually ensures income comes through. So he wanted to be able to also pay off debt in case of things like total and permanent disability and loss of life as well, because he does have a family. So, basically that's just risk management and protection of human capital. So what we did for him is, one, come up with the amount he needs to be insured for, okay? Because we don't want to over-insure the client, but we also don't want to under-insure them as well. There's a sweet balance where if unfortunate things were to happen, he can still land on his feet or still have funds to take care of himself. One of the key things with business owners as well is you've built this business, which might not be sellable in the early stages of life, but you've actually created so much value. So it's crucial to ensure that if something was to happen, that value pretty much just disappears because that value is in the business. And when it cannot be sold, even though it's turning a few $1 million, you need to ensure you can extract that value. Okay. So that's where things like protection come in place, life insurance, total permanent disability, trauma, and income protection as well. In terms of when we helped the client as well set up the right amount of covers, depending on your cash flow, depending on the structure you have, you can choose where you pay for these premiums. Okay. So for this particular client, it just had to come from the business and a little bit from his pocket as well. And that's just to ensure that, look, if a certain amount was to be claimed, it doesn't need to go through the business, then come out to him. And that's why we needed to actually separate that, where some are kept in the business and some are actually outside the business as well. Obviously, part of what I do is to ensure they can afford the premiums, which for most business owners or just most individuals is very, very affordable because you need to weigh the risk and also weigh the return you get from that protection. Okay. And one thing with protection as well, because some amount can really affect your retirement savings. Because if you think about it, if you're not paying for premiums, that money could be saved or could be put towards a long-term benefit for yourself. So one of the things we just do is balance that. For young clients, the risk of being totally and permanently disabled or the risk of not working really affects your human capital and can affect your physical capital as well. So you're in a better position if you actually spend some dollars being protected. And as you get closer to retirement, then we can tip that balance to the other side to ensure you have enough for retirement and you're saving what you need to save. In terms of his other goals, so there were quite a few goals. There were about 5 goals, but the second, third, and fourth goal were just around him establishing an investment portfolio to ensure he has passive income. He wanted a passive income of about $2,000 per month in the next 2 to 3 years. One of the issues with that is if you haven't been saving or putting money aside, you cannot just start investing. You need to actually build a cash flow strategy around that. And for some business owners, you do not have the right buckets in place, and that's where we come in to ensure you're putting enough for owner's capital, you're putting enough for workers' capital, you're actually being profitable as well, and putting those profits away and making a conscious decision as to what to do with the profits. Should you reinvest in the business? Should you then put it towards passive income? Those are key things to consider, and that's what we did with him. So we sat down with him over a few meetings, about 6 meetings, just to ensure that he has that cash flow strategy right. Because as a business owner, you just want to ensure that, look, you're paying yourself, and then you actually consciously putting the profits away and deciding what to do with that. So for him, it has to start with building that cash flow, and then we can look at ways we can actually start investing. The different ways to invest inside the business, outside the business. It comes down to the risk of the business and comes down to what we're actually trying to achieve. So for this client, the initial step is cash flow before we can start investing. So we did put that in place, and just waiting for a few months when he's built up those savings within the business, and then we can actually start investing. And the fifth goal was just in regards to superannuation account. So the client's interested in superannuation account strategies. His super balance is on the low side. However, he decided to not deal with that just yet, which is typical of a business owner, not wanting to deal with super. However, we will follow up with him and actually ensures he puts something in place, because your super is actually a huge platform you can use to save for retirement. And we want to balance that as well, because for young clients, you want to pay off the mortgage, you want to provide for the kids, you want to do all those interim goals that come up before actually focusing a lot on your super. However, if you put something towards that consistently over the long term, it definitely pays off. So that's something we scoped out because he didn't want to look at that then. And from an advice perspective, that's what we're happy to do for clients. You can see the value in a certain thing, but not want to deal with that at that point in time. That's fine. We can scope it out and then come back to that later on as well. And just some unidentified needs as well. So generally, when people haven't done anything with your superannuation accounts, it just means that your super may not be aligned to your risk profile. Okay, generally, young clients, you have the ability to take a little bit higher risk than older clients. So you definitely want to take advantage of that. An extra 1% over 30 years just means that you've doubled your income. So doing that early can really benefit you. And estate planning as well. So generally, most young people think that estate planning is really for the old, but just having a will in place can really save beneficiaries any hassles if you had to pass away. Touch wood, hopefully not. And power of attorney is very important, because yes, I've helped set up all these things, but if something was to happen and there isn't the power of attorney in place, most professionals cannot help you in anything. Your dependents or your loved ones may not even be able to access any of your investments without going through a legal process, which is just time consuming and expensive. So things like power of attorney are very, very important as well. And, just like in most videos, I always talk about professional expertise. This is what we do every day. This is what we help clients with. So we do understand what clients should focus on first. And going back to this client, we're focusing on the cash flow first before we actually look at the investment piece, which will give him that ultimate goal of having passive income. And I think another thing is just financial satisfaction. I always tell clients, whether we can get you to your goal or whether that goal is unachievable at this point in time, it's good to know. So you actually satisfied as to, okay, yes, I can do that. I just need to X, Y, Z, or, that's really out of the picture for now, because generally with goals that are out of the picture is because you have some conflicting goals. A typical example is wanting to make lots of money, but also wanting to spend a huge amount of time not working. Generally that's a very hard thing to achieve. And with this client as well, he had his accountant, he had a mortgage broker. We were able to introduce him to an estate lawyer to actually help set up the will and power of attorney as well. So that's a key aspect as well in terms of financial planning, connecting you with the right professionals or working with your current professionals to get you to where you want to be. So please follow for more educational content, comment, like, or email me as to any questions you may have.